Hey guys, Mark here from L.M.P Studios. Hope you are having a fantastic day. And well, today I got a parcel and it's a new upgrade for the studio. Let's see what it is, shall we? Well guys, there's the box, and covered the shipping label because I don't want you guys, although you can find out my address of my studio on my website. Link to my website will be down below in the description. And I bought this from DV247. Let's see what we've got. Yes, I decided to upgrade my speaker control system in the studio because the center section of my console is pretty pants when it comes to monitoring, so I decided to go with the folks at Presonus, and I got myself the central station. And I also got a bunch of cables for connecting it in, because the one downside of this unit is it uses jacks for connection, not XLRs, and all my other gear is the, well, basically all my other gear is the humble XLR, so adapter cables. Well, I'm going to get this out of the box, guys, and let's see what it's like, shall we? So, I got it out of the box. Yeah, that happened. And here it is. Let's see what we got, shall we? Nice bit of foam by the looks of it. Yeah, nice soft foam. Looks like it means it's decently packed. Big printed manual. Good. Can't stand electronic manuals, as you probably already know. I've said that often enough. And there it is. I tell you though, for the price, it's bloody small. You don't get a lot for your money, do you? Well, I suppose you do in terms of what features you get, but in terms of physical size of the unit, you don't get much. Yeah, so we have the central station itself, the rack mount portion. We also have the remote control unit. Very nice. Nice and properly packaged in some decent bubble wrap. In a little foam pocket, I like that. Nice packaging design, that's cool. What else do we have in here? We have cables of some description. We have the remote connection cable. Looks like a VGA, tastes like a VGA, but it's not a VGA according to the website, so hey ho. And this, I have no idea what this is. This is a unknown cable. Oh, is it the power? Looks like it's the power point. Oh, it's a foreign power point. That's so not going to be helpful. What have we got in the final box? What do we got? We have a power brick for its transformer. Okay. Never heard of that make of power supply before, but hey ho. I trust it's fine for what we need. I have a slight feeling, I mean, yes, they supplied me with a thing. Oh, they did. It's alright, it's got the right connection on it. Normally, DV247, when they supply you with UK PowerPoint, they just provide you with the ordinary standard 3-pin kettle lead, but they actually provided me with the right lead, which, good for you, DV. Brilliant! Alright. I'll get all this lot completely out of its packaging and stacked in a nicer, pleasing way, and show you guys in a sec. Catch you in a minute. Okay guys, so around the front we have the talkback controls with a independent level control and the talkback activation button just there. It's also the built-in mic on the front panel, which is mirrored on an XLR at the back, so you can plug in a dynamic microphone. Only dynamic though, there's no phantom power, which is a little upsetting, but hey ho. Next to that we have the two independent headphone mixers, which is really nice to see, two separate ones with separate level controls for each as well. That is really cool, and by the looks of it, yep, push to select between either the Q or the main input from the rear panel. Very helpful. Next to that then we have the Q input controls, so we can select the Q mix bus and control its output independently of the main mix bus. It can have its inputs selected from any of the inputs to the unit, which is very nice. Next to that we have the main output control, output and input selection system, which is again can select any of the inputs to the console, to the unit, with again this time a dedicated one for the auxiliary input, which comes in on phonos on the back. I'll take you on the back in a minute. Next to that then we have the digital input selection. There is a SP diff, as you can see, and also a Toslink connector on the back as well. Then we have some, as they put on their website, award-winning and incredibly accurate left-right meters. We'll have to check that out. And then all your meter controls, as you can see, the clear, the peak level, and also then you can calibrate it. There's a full calibration spec in the manual that I read online. Then, moving down, you come to the actual speaker control itself. You have your speaker selection switches, so you can select between which set of speakers you are using. I believe as well you can have them all if you wanted to as well. Also, you can check your mix in mono using the mono selection button, which is a very handy feature. You can dim the output level from your monitors. I can't remember what the mount is, but you can dim it, which is really handy. And you have a complete mute function as well. And finally, on the end, we have the master volume knob, which is actually a very nice feeling pot. I like the feel of that. Well done. Yep, kudos to you, Presonus. I like the feel of that. Let's have a look round the back. Okay, round the back, guys, we have the talkback input for the external mic if you want to plug in a dynamic microphone only. Like I said, it's a shame it doesn't have phantom power, but I suppose that's something you can live with. In a box this small, it would be a luxury to have phantom power. Also, you can remote control it with a foot switch, so you don't have to reach over and press a button. Let's say you're playing a guitar as well as recording. You could just stick your foot on a pedal, shout at someone through a microphone while still playing your guitar as well. Also, if you activate that turns off the built-in microphone and switches to the XLR input. Next to that we have the remote control connection, again with on, like I said, what looks like a VGA, but according to them it is not VGA wiring, so you cannot extend this using a standard VGA cable. Then you have its activation switch, which turns on this connection to the remote, which disables the front panel main volume control and speaker selection. Then next you have your main analog inputs. As you can see, we have the auxiliary input on phonos, and then we have your two main stereo inputs. Now this is going to be incredibly useful for, let's say, how I'm going to use it, which is where I have my desk output through the bus compressor going into the main input 1, and then I have just the console output without the bus compression into input number 2. This will allow me to quickly be able to bypass the compressor with a true bypass, as opposed to just flicking a switch on the compressor, which, as you know, sometimes doesn't take them out of the signal path, so you've, at least you know for a fact you're completely, truly bypassing the unit. Then next to that you have your line outputs. Now these are not the speaker outputs, as you can see they are the next section. These are then the audio pass-through, that basically they just take the audio from here and pass it straight out of here. It goes out through the main directly. The Q outputs are level controlled, as you saw on the front panel. These are balanced left-right outputs. The main one would go to your recording station / converters, and the Q1 could, as they say in their description, go to a separate headphone amplifier or a secondary recorder. Let's say you had a 2-track tape machine that you wanted to run through, pop it into there as well, you can record it simultaneously. Moving on then, we have the speaker outputs. You have your 3 sets, your A, B and C. In their wiring diagrams they recommend you have your mains, your minis and then your sub plugged into the left of output C, but you could have 3 sets of complete separate stereo speakers as well. And then the final connection of the input is your digital connections. You have your Toslink connection for the output from your console, if you're using a digital console. Same if you've got digital converters for connecting to 2-track SPDIF, very helpful. Also, if you wanted to send just the output of your computer, like let's say your iTunes output, you could, and your computer has an optical output or SPDIF output, you could plug them into here and very quickly and easily listen to what the computer's playing rather than having to run everything through your converters. Very handy things. And finally we have an actual clunking power switch. God, I love those. And what's I would call a bit of a weird decision, a little tiny external power supply with supply cable lock. Now this is something that I don't think they should have done, in my opinion. I would have been happy to pay a little bit more money and then put an internal power supply with just a standard kettle lead so I can plug it into the rack properly, but you know, good old Presonus, they love to do things differently. Okay, that is the main unit. Let's have a look at the remote control then, shall we? Okay guys, here's the remote control. And what's very handy about this is that there's quite a decent length cable that connects between the main unit and this unit, which means you can just stick your main unit in a rack and forget about it and control everything on here, which is going to be great for me because the main unit's going to go in the rack with the converters and it's going to run out to this, and I can just sit this on top of my console. That is going to be so handy. That's one of the reasons I didn't go for the latest version of the central station, because I went for the older version, not the V2, because the V2 is all big, just one unit that sits on your tabletop rather than 2 separate units. On here we have your input selection control, so you can select between your main input, secondary input, digital input or the auxiliary input. You've also then got your digital input controls, your SPDIF and Toslink selection. It's entirely up to you which ones of those you want to use. Then you have your speaker selections at the top. Like I said, you can connect a subwoofer to C and have 2 main speakers on A and B. And then you've got also your other speaker controls like the mute, dim and the mono, also present on this unit for remote control. Very handy. What's also handy but isn't going to be used in my studio because I don't have a separate live room is a remote talkback system. So the microphone actually then is moved to the remote onboard microphone as opposed to the one built into the front of the rack. This is very handy because it means that often this would be closer to you than the rack unit, and if you don't fancy running up a separate microphone for your talkback, then you could just you use this internal mic. It's got a dedicated level control. Put on that's a little wobbly. It's a little disconcerting actually as to how wobbly the talkback of that is. But I guess I'm wondering actually if that's a broken one and I've received a duff unit, but we'll have to wait and see. And your talkback engage button there. Next to that then, finally, you have the actual speaker controller level, the actual level control, plus the little active light that comes on when the remote is actually enabled on the front of the main unit. And this pot feels really nice, no wobble, but it's very stiff at the moment because it's brand new. That's good because it means you can definitely do very small increments and they will stay there. It's not spongy. It's nice and positive feeling pot, which is always nice to see. Round the back, very simple, the other end of your VGA. Now, like I said, I keep calling it a VGA and I will continue to call it a VGA because that is exactly the connector type that it uses. But it's, as I will say again, as they keep saying all the time in their literature, it is not a VGA wiring setup. You cannot use a regular VGA cable as an extender as such. Don't make that mistake, guys. Don't buy a VGA cable. It won't work. So guys, there you go. That was the unboxing and first impressions of the Central Station Plus from Presonus. Now, I won't be doing a demo of you guys for connecting it into the rack and all that kind of jazz because it's stuffy behind my console and there's no way I can get a camera in there and have it in focus and look good for you guys, and I want to produce quality content for you. What will happen is I'll live with this for a few weeks, try it out, and then I'll give you guys a review of it, hopefully, once I've had time to play with it. Although, to be perfectly honest, there's not much you can say. It's a speaker controller. I'm pretty sure all you guys realise what a speaker controller does. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and obviously subscribe to my channel for more content for professional audio gear and the life of a studio owner. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Take care, guys. Peace out.